The first of our world title fights in Boston coming up shortly. Craig Slater sets it up for us.
Valdemir, Pereira.
Being world champion isn't enough for Valdemir Pereira. He wants world renown and sees tonight as an ideal platform.
It's important for me to show everyone who I am. I want to prove that I am the best in this division, and I want to do the best for my country.
He's been very focused, comes from a poor background, as a lot of the kids do in those countries, and saves his money. And at the end of the day, he knows he's got to win. He knows it's the big stage. It's a beginning for him.
For Boston's Brazilian quarter, this is the main event. The promotion's gone with a samba swing.
Every time a Brazilian who is not a soccer player is in a mega fight, it's like worldwide news to them.
I'm going to keep my world title, just like the Brazilian soccer team. No one can beat us.
Pereira outworked tough Thai Farpraccord Rakiat Gym to lift this title, but having prepared to meet the short, slippery Isham Pickering, his call-off means he now has to deal with a tall, direct, late substitute, Eric Aiken.
I'm extremely excited about it. I take my hat off to Valdemir Pereira for giving me that opportunity. It's been a lifelong dream. I've been boxing for 10 years, and like I said, it's been a lifelong dream for me to even get a shot at it.
I said to him when I called to Brazil, to the interpreter, I said, listen, don't take this guy lightly because he knows you. He's got a copy of the tape. He's seen your fight. He thinks he can win.
And the American, known as Mighty Mouse, is coming off a career-best win over ex-bantamweight champion Tim Austin.
It made me realize that I am in that echelon of fighters as champions, former champions, and world champions, you know, so it boosted my confidence level 100%.
He's not in my class. I'm keeping my belt.
We're all set to go. It is for the IBF World Featherweight title. Let's get ringside.
Fight Academy present the featured event of the evening, 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Featherweight Championship of the World. Sponsored by the Hyatt Regency Boston and by Nemiroff. Sanctioned by the Massachusetts State Boxing Commission Chairman Nick Manzello, Commissioners Ben Doherty and Gary Litchfield, Chief Deputy Charlie Tattaglia. This world title bout also sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation, supervising ringside Hiawatha Knight. The three judges ringside scoring this bout will be Dan Fitzgerald, Robert Caprillion, and Lawrence Layton. And when the bell rings, the referee in charge of the action, Charlie Dwyer. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing first, fighting tonight out of the red corner. He wears the black and gold and weighed in tonight at 125 pounds. Originally from Washington, D.C., now fighting out of Marysville, Ohio. His professional record stands at 15 victories, 4 defeats, 12 victories by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the challenger, Eric Mighty Mouse Aiken. And across the ring, the reigning champion fights out of the blue corner. He wears the green and yellow and weighed in tonight 1 pound heavier at 126 pounds. As a professional, he stands undefeated at 24 victories, no defeats, 15 victories by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, from São Caetano do Sul, São Paulo, Brazil, presenting the defending IBF Featherweight World Champion, Valdemir Pereira.
This is Ian Dark with Jim Watt with you at ringside. The first of our world title offerings tonight. Referee is Charlie Dwyer. There's a bit of fuss around here about this Brazilian, Valdemir Pereira. There's a 300,000 strong Brazilian community right here in Boston. So massive support here. They had the press conference for this fight in one of those Brazilian restaurants. Very tasty it was too.
You broke all the rules. Have a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Touch gloves. Good luck.
Now the guy in the other corner, Eric Aiken, who calls himself Mighty Mouse, is coming off a win over a real name opponent, Tim Austin.
Yeah.
who he managed to stop in 6 rounds. A very faded Austin, I should think, but nonetheless, it's transformed Aiken's life. Can he build on that by somehow snatching the IBF Featherweight Championship tonight? He'll be the one in the black trunks here at the Bank North Garden, which is on the site of the old and very famous Boston Garden here in Massachusetts. A very rainy Massachusetts, I should add, outside. Just like the football team, Valdemir Pereira of Brazil in green and gold. He's quite exciting, we hear, but let's see how exciting.
Yeah, well, he certainly fancies himself as a star of the future, Pereira. A very high opinion of himself, compared himself to Sugar Ray Leonard, they said, so we'll see if he can back that up with the gloves.
It's big talk, that, isn't it? And Aiken, by the way, is from Sugar Ray Leonard territory in Maryland. He's met him a couple of times, he says, too.
One of the things about Aiken, a good right hand from Pereira, one of the things that impressed me about Aiken, he's actually scored 46 knockouts in the amateurs out of 92 wins. So he certainly carries some punching power, because it's much more difficult these days to score knockouts in the amateur game with head guards, the big gloves and everything else. So he must have at least a puncher's chance tonight.
Yep, he's a clean hitter, all right. And in the pros, in his 15 wins, 12 of them have been inside schedule as well. Against all that, though, Jim, 2 fights ago, he lost to a 5-fight novice. So you never know quite what you're going to get with this guy.
Yeah, we didn't see the fight, we didn't see the judges, so I never take that for granted. It was a good win against Tim Austin, although he's past his best. And looking at him, he's not intimidated, he sets himself well, he looks like a natural puncher. And Pereira hasn't taken too many chances anyway, so maybe he's complaining about a low blow there. I thought it was borderline.
Pereira, by the way, is unbeaten in 24 fights so far, 15 by stoppage. He won this title in January against a Thai opponent, Fabricor Rakiat Gym. I think the second bit's just the name of the gym. Funny names they give them over there.
Yeah, Pereira has a look of a man who knows what he's doing, but I think he's paying full respect to the punching power of Aiken. His hands are nice and tight when he lets punches go. He's bringing them back high. A kind of peekaboo style here in the opening round.
Good left hand. Good silky skills there from Pereira, who was due to be fighting Britain's Isham Pickering, but Pickering pulled out with a rib injury. Big disappointment, that, for all concerned. Might not get another chance.
Well, they're not clinching, they're not running, they're not hiding, so first round shaping up well.
And as you say, Jim, Aiken not looking intimidated in any way. It's a surprise chance, this, for him. He was due to be fighting in the WBA Eliminator in June when he got the call to come in here at late notice and replace Pickering.
Well, he is a puncher, but I must say he hasn't wasted too many. He got through with the right hand just on the bell there.
Good punch, that, too. That last punch, just, if I'm not mistaken, just seemed to hurt Pereira and wobble him a little bit. There he is, Popo, Arcelino Freitas, who's just moved up to lightweight to become a world champion. You might have caught the fight recently on Sky against Zahir Rahim. He's a big mate of Pereira.
Well, some nice controlled, cute boxing in the opening round from Pereira. Just shipped a right hand towards the end, but he was reacting to the right hand. I mean, the cleaner punches in the opening round coming from the champion. But Aiken didn't look overawed, didn't waste any punches, so he looks like a fighter who feels his chances will come.
Pereira, who's handled by Art Palulo, whose banner promotions organisation is behind Ricky Hatton on this side of the Atlantic now. That's how he winds up on this bill. He's in the green and gold, the defending IBF champion. It would be a nasty shock for them if he was to lose his title to this fellow who's been a bit win some, lose some so far. 15 wins, 4 defeats in his career already. Says he hasn't been managed and handled properly, Aiken, but he does seem a kind of happy-go-lucky character who may not have taken everything just as seriously as he would have wanted, perhaps, so far. We'll see tonight how he responds to this big challenge.
Signs maybe that he maybe just keeps that chin too still at the wrong time, doesn't react quickly enough to punches coming his way. It's as though he's concentrating on his own bombs, not quite ready for what the other guy's going to do.
Nice tight defence from Pereira. Not a lot getting through. He's wary a little bit about Aiken's power, I think. He might be the superior technician of the two, but it could be one of those fights where just one punch from Aiken could change things around a bit. He must be amazed to be in there, mustn't he, Aiken, after losing to the novice a couple of fights back.
Yeah, but I suppose the win against Austin, where he was obviously brought along as an opponent, maybe he feels he's earned this chance, and I mean, he looks as though he fancies the job. He's a little bit open, telegraphing his work a little bit. But Pereira paying him full respect, so I imagine he's felt the power of these shots on his arms and doesn't want to test them out on his chin.
Having trouble getting that jab through past that peekaboo style defense of Pereira. Pereira, who started boxing when he used to run an ice cream stall, and a couple of blokes attacked him. Thought he'd better get in the gym and learn how to box.
That's a good left hook from Aiken.
Yeah, it was too. He got caught by one himself back. Good combinations, really catching fire a bit here in the second round. Caught again by a right and a left hand. Good punches from the champion Pereira. Aiken looking a bit disorganized here, Jim.
Pereira just so much more control in what he's doing. His chin's down, his hands are up when he's not punching. Aiken wide open, carries power, but he takes far too many chances.
Defense isn't tight enough, not getting through. And Pereira looks the kind of ruthless operator who's going to exploit the gaps. Head and body shots going through. Aiken tries to buy the lottery tickets with jackpot punches, but he's a bit wild now. And Pereira looking lethal at times in that second round. Jerry Page there in the corner is a former Olympic champion from 1984 from Columbus, Ohio. But he's got problems, Aiken.
Hey, bring that big bucket up here. You gotta bring that big one up here. Yeah. Suck it in. Get back to the...
Quiet in that corner, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I think the problem with Aiken, I think he leaves his chin in the danger zone just a second too long. He's too easily caught with head punches. That was a good left hook, just seemed to glance off the chin. He growled, the punch landed, but he was making his macho point, but there you can see that one had the desired effect. He was shaken from that point on.
Yeah, his eyes were in orbit a bit from that right hand that landed around the temple. Coming up to the third round here at the Bank North Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. Black trunks, challenger, Mighty Mouse, Eric Aiken. Valdemir Pereira, the defending IBF champion. They took the title away from Juan Manuel Marquez out of the ring. Marquez has lost again since then, mind you.
Yeah, Marquez actually lost both of his titles, the IBF and WB, out of the ring, and then failed to win the WE back again. So crazy politics in boxing again.
Yep.
Break, stop punching. Break clean. Good.
Pereira, if he comes through this, is being groomed for bigger things. I don't think he'd ever meet his mate Acelino Freitas, but remember there's people like Pereira and Juarez who meet soon. Eric Morales around this kind of weight. Jesus Chavez, a bit up from this.
I mean, Pereira has a well-schooled look about him. He doesn't believe in taking too many chances, does everything behind a tight defence. The peekaboo style that we've both mentioned earlier, and gets himself into range before he lets the punches go. Some of the hooks are a bit wide, but nothing wrong with it. Straight jab or the right cross.
Just getting outclassed a little bit at the moment. Looks quite clinical, Pereira. He has had 285 amateur bouts and boxed in the Olympics in Sydney. Went out in the second bout there. But it's a long, long period of schooling since he was 12 years old.
Yeah, well, he's 31 years of age now, but no signs Father Time catching up with him. He's looking fresh, full of the business, so he'll maybe be looking for some unification fights. Provided, of course, he gets through this one.
Looking good for him at the moment, you'd have to say. Just bit by bit, looking to dismantle the man in front of him here, Valdemir Pereira.
Aiken not managing to hold his ground the way he was doing in the first couple of rounds. He's been pushed back with the attacks. He's not reacting quickly enough. All at sea there. His lack of defence beginning to catch up with him.
He's just making mistakes as well, isn't he? Too open.
Yeah, the chin is always stationary. In the first couple of rounds he was thinking about what he was doing, but now he has the look of a man who doesn't quite know what to do.
And he realises what he's in with, I think, at the moment. Head and body shots, fast hands too from Pereira. Just got caught one himself to the temple. With haymakers here from Aiken. He might have just shaken Pereira with one of them, and a good right hand and a low blow from Pereira. And Aiken is doubled up in pain from that, and there'll be a break.
Yeah, well, that was a quick shot, but it certainly looked well into the danger zone, and the instant reaction from Aiken. No point deduction, which is fair enough. It's the first time it's happened. But I think Aiken is entitled to the full time, full recovery time.
Which can be up to 5 minutes, though very few boxers actually take that. He might be glad of the respite, although he'd had his moments himself in this round. That was it. Pereira is from South America. And the stoppage must have been about a second from the end of the round, because the bell went straight away.
Wake up, baby, wake up now.
Yep, as we said, well in the danger area, and you can see the instant reaction, no play acting there. Actually did well just about 20-odd seconds before he was ready for action again. That was a painful one.
Aiken, who was a US amateur champion back in 1999 and won 92 out of 97 in the amateurs. The pro game is found harder. Pereira here. Well honed, well conditioned, and comes from a very poor background in a wilderness area near to Sao Paulo in Brazil. Wants to make money, not only for himself, but to help his family get a bit of money behind them. It's a nice story, and he's looking to take it further here.
It's a good solid looking jab Aiken throws when he uses it, but just a bit more head movement or a better looking defence. I mean, look at the chin there, trying to set him up for the big shots. Pereira naturally goes into that shell again.
Well, he's sticking out his chin, almost inviting Pereira to hit it. Maybe trying to draw a lead and hit him with a right-hand counter. But it's a dangerous game. You might be able to do that on undercards on the way through, but against the world champions, you might pay a pretty heavy price.
Well, you see fighters with bad habits, but Pereira has got so many good habits. So well schooled, the chin is always down, the hands are always up when he's not throwing. Doesn't reach with the punches, gets his feet close before he lets him go. A little bit of shoulder coming there from Aiken. I thought the referee was going to have a word, but he didn't.
So the battle line's to draw here, really. The much superior technical boxing and fast hands of the champion, but the occasional successes and power of Aiken, who again, I think, just buzzed up Pereira with that right hand. He looked a bit shocked when it landed. He's still in the fight, Aiken.
Yeah, it's noticeable when Aiken lands that Pereira thinks about covering up. He doesn't think about coming back with better. So obviously there's a fair bit of power in these right-hand shots from Aiken. Just offering too much target himself and picked to pieces otherwise.
Again, around the border area, this time a knowing grin from Aiken through the gum shield. Fascinating fight, isn't it, this one?
Yep, the styles are mixing nicely. Pereira is a good defensive boxer, but he doesn't clinch, he doesn't mess around. So it's flowed nicely. Referee has the target.
Left hand to the temple, and down goes Pereira. There's a turnaround. He's been putting the rounds away, but he always has that equaliser. Aiken, he knows it. And that time, I thought he'd shaken him up with a few, and that time he's got him on the canvas. Well. And Aiken, with big, wild siding punches, not accurate enough. Can't nail the Brazilian. But he can sense here that he can take this title. Got back with the right hand counter and another low blow, just to mix it with the drama right at the end of the round. But Aiken, big breakthrough.
I wonder if the referee's thinking about a point here. He's going to Pereira's corner.
There it was, Jim. Lovely left hook.
It caught him high, and these punches you don't shake quite so quickly, and I do not think Pereira recovered from that. I wonder if the low blow was a little bit cynical. He does throw the body shots wide and wild, Pereira. But what a nice time to choose to land a low blow.
Well, we said Aiken was still in this fight, and he most certainly is, in a pretty big way, if he can do that. But can he do it again, or was it just a blip for Pereira?
Let's go.
Fifth round here.
Pereira complaining to the referee straight away. Good sign for Aiken. I mean, right from the opening round, Pereira looked to be paying full respect to Aiken's punching power. Now he is worried about it.
He's unloading again here. Pereira's leaving himself a bit open too in his response. And Aiken suddenly, from that horrible defeat a couple of fights ago against nothing much more than a baby boxer, really, looked like he was going nowhere. Suddenly he can sense being a world champion. So what a strange business this is.
Well, I mentioned in the opening round he didn't waste too many punches. He looked to pick his shots. He knows he has Pereira in trouble, but he's still taking his time. This is exactly what to do. He knows he can turn this around with one punch. So don't waste a lot of useless energy. Just take your time, wait for the spot. That's what he's doing.
Now you know why they're calling him the Mighty Mouse, I guess. Good left hand from Pereira. Whipped it in, then a body shot as well. But he can't seem to break the spirit here of Aiken, who's got this surprise chance and looks like he intends to take it.
Well, that was a beautiful left hook that Aiken walked right through. So that's given Pereira something else to worry about.
Go on, body shot.
That's a body shot, that's a knockdown, that's a knockdown.
That's a good shot, that wasn't low. And he's down for the second time. Terrific punch from Eric Aiken. Gets up with the count at 8, a bit gingerly, it should be said, Pereira, who's feeling the force here now, and this has knocked a lot of belief out of him. Different fight now, and another body shot goes in. He gulped for air that time, Pereira, and went backwards onto those ropes. Bravely tries to fight his way out of there, but he's in trouble, deep trouble.
Yep, Aiken keeping cool, still picking the shots. You have to take your time here. It wasn't a head shot, so it's not as though Pereira is stunned, so take your time. But another big round for Aiken.
He's pretty untutored, this Aiken, but he can hit, and that's working for him tonight. Back comes Pereira. Oh, what a great shot! An uppercut! That got Aiken going with the right hand. He opened himself up and said, hit me, more or less. Daft, really, but he survived it somehow. What a comeback here from Pereira. This is a terrific battle here for the IBF featherweight title. Look at this. Now Aiken's wobbling. Pereira just can't put him away despite this barrage. Huge shot. Aiken takes that too. It's grandstand stuff for this. An amazing round.
Aiken's legs look on. That bell could not come soon enough for Aiken.
Breathtaking round. Simply breathtaking. Nobody's asking for their money back tonight.
Ian, that may just be the round that Aiken has thrown away a world title because he stood in front of Pereira inviting him to throw his best to show that he can take his best. He was badly stunned. I do not know if he can recover from that. His legs were gone at the end of that round. He may just have thrown away a world title with that. Beautiful body shot which caused the knockdown. There it goes, just caught the bottom. There it goes there. Legal shot, good punch. You can see Pereira trying to grab hold. He was complaining, but nothing to complain about. That was perfectly legal. But then Aiken just seemed to completely lose concentration. Wanted to do the macho thing, dropped his hands. Unbelievable. Can he recover from this?
Sixth round. The fifth was one of the rounds, not only of the year, but of a few years, I'd say. That last half of it, anyway. But IBF featherweight champion Valdemir Pereira of Brazil's been down twice in this fight. He nearly came back to win it in that last round, but he couldn't, even with that attack, put Aiken on the floor. It was a mad gamble, really, by Aiken. Kind of ridiculous bravado. He almost just dropped his hands and said, hit me.
Yeah, but I think Pereira needed a confidence booster at that stage of the fight, and he got it. Because he knows he really shook Aiken up there. Aiken's on for it, but again, his head far too stationary. No defence. If you're going to stand this close, you have to let punches go.
Better defence there, but a few got through. Aiken that time got his gloves up more sensibly. But there's no doubt about who's the puncher in this fight, Jim.
But Pereira's defences are even tighter now than they were before. So you wonder, will Aiken get another shot? Another chance to land that right-hand bomb of his?
He had a big chance. Has he blown it or not? Or will he find another thunderbolt from somewhere? Reach for the uppercut. This time it just whistled past the chin of Pereira.
I mean, if he's going to stand in front of Pereira, he has to let some counter punches go. He's not doing that. See, Pereira putting punches together, not allowing them to come back with that single dangerous counter.
Possibly a more tentative Pereira. Got in with a good left hook. That looked okay to me, that left to the body. He's made a lot of it. He's made a lot of it. I'd like to see that again. That look around the border. Aiken's trying to say that was a low blow. He may be right. He may be right, but on first sighting, what did you think, Jim?
I think it was low, Ian. I don't know if it was way down in the danger area again. I thought it was low. But, I mean, to his credit, he didn't make a big deal about it last time. But that's a point from the champion. He's already 2 knockdowns against him, point against him. So he's going to have to get things in order here.
Referee Charlie Dwyer again giving Aiken recovery time.
But Pereira has lost points in the past for low punching. We thought maybe he was the dirty fighter. I just think he's a careless fighter who throws the body punches too wide.
No, they're not allowing him a stool. That's what they're saying here. You can have recovery time, but you can't have a stool. So is Aiken making a meal out of all this? It's just a bit of that, I would say, in all of this. By the way, just to confirm your point, Pereira lost 2 points for low blows on the night he won the world title against that Thai fighter.
Yeah, but I think it's more carelessness. Although after the knockdown in the previous round, I wonder, am I being cynical? But he's got himself into control now.
Well, that was the punch. Have a look at that again, maybe later, right? I thought he made a real meal of that, to be honest with you, Aiken. A good right hand from him. Back comes Pereira with the left hook. This is on a knife edge, this fight. No telling how this might develop. Cracking right-hand counter. Cracking right-hand counter. Pereira puts the combinations together, but he can't really make a dent. Not a big dent, not a big enough dent anyway in Aiken so far.
But he still has so much more control in his boxing. Good round for Pereira.
It's a bit of a thriller, this, isn't it? On this Ricky Hatton undercard. Don't think everybody was expecting this. I think most people were expecting that this Brazilian was getting a nice showcase here against the late substitute and would coast to a nice title defence. But really, it sends out the warning signs, doesn't it? It's a reminder that nothing is quite as it seems in this business.
Yep, especially when one title is at stake, people rise to the occasion, and that's what we're seeing tonight.
Pereira's the one with the skills, the combinations. He's better schooled, but Aiken's the guy with the dynamite. Looks like that anyway, doesn't it? Here's the 7th round. Remember the black trunks of Aiken, the multicolored trunks, the yellow, the gold and the blue, the Brazil football colors of Valdemir Pereira, who confidently told me this week that Brazil would win the World Cup. But whether he holds on to his world title is quite another matter at the moment. Oh, good right hand from him.
I mean, Aiken really does have a good, solid-looking jab when he uses it, but he just seems to want to pose, wind up the big shots. I wonder maybe if he would do a little bit more off the jab. That's a good shot.
Yeah, he's trying to say that was another blow. And the referee's got to be on the case a bit there. Suddenly he's recovered from another body punch. He's trying to pretend every body punch is a low blow now, Aiken. That one. Now he decided after the referee stepped in that he needed another break here, Aiken. Now this is almost the football equivalent, isn't it?
Yeah,
of taking a dive in the box.
That looked a borderline punch. That looked on the belt. And I don't think he was complaining until the referee called. So that's another point.
He's got another point off. Well, let's have a look. Let's see if it was a low blow.
Well, difficult from that angle, but I thought it looked to be on the belt. But you can't blame Aiken for that because it was the referee called it. It wasn't the reaction from Aiken that caused the referee to call it. The referee called it first, and Aiken made the best of it.
Yeah, that's what I say. He suddenly decided he was bent up double with the pain after the referee stepped in.
Yeah, but
I think the last two, I'm not sure they've been low blows at all. This is getting a bit ridiculous. I mean, this is amateur dramatics, isn't it, now, from Eric Aiken?
We do have to say, Pereira has landed at least half a dozen shots below the belt. Some he's gotten away with, some have been borderline over and above those, but he is very, very careless with his body punching.
On we go. 7th round. What next in this? How much has this taken out of Pereira, you wonder? On the floor twice, confidence shaken. Aiken, who keeps wanting to have these little breaks, it seems.
Break, stop punching. Break, please. Good.
See, that's the jab of Aiken. When he uses it, it's a good, solid, straight ramrod jab. Why doesn't he get behind it, use it more often?
But you've got to face it, Jim. Pereira's in trouble in this fight. He's just
There's a clash of heads there.
Dabbing away at his right eye, wasn't he? After that. Can't see a cut. He suddenly opens up. Gets him with a great right cross again, though. Although that seemed to land flush, Aiken was unmoved. Looking for a sheer volume and intensity of attacks again. Aiken comes out of that, shakes his head as if to say, is that all you've got? Might have been a lot of punches, they didn't hurt me. Body punch this time. Again, he looks for the referee, wanting a low blow. It was a fair body punch, and that was a great uppercut too from Pereira. And Aiken will lose sympathy with the crowd, I think, if he carries on with this.
Well, Pereira has really raised the pace in this round. He's trying to get this fellow under control. But his best punches do not seem to be having any great effect on Aiken.
Oh, look at these. Got caught by them with his chin stuck out, and they just bounced off Aiken's chin. And this must be dispiriting for Pereira. But in this fight, let's just update you, because we need to gather our breath a bit here. Pereira's been on the floor twice, and he's lost 2 points for low blows. He's got to be in a bit of trouble on the cards.
Yeah, well, and actually that was a difficult round to score, because I thought Pereira well won the round, but it was deducted a point, and if you lose a point, you lose the round. So I've had to score that round 10-9 to Aiken, but I don't think he deserves it. It's a 10-point must system, so one of the fighters at least must get 10 points. You can't give it to Pereira, so Aiken gets it, but very unkind.
Can't you score it 10-10 though, Jim, on that basis, if you thought that Pereira won the round apart from that?
You can't lose a point and have 10 points. You can't lose a point and still score 10 points. Aiken must get the round, but I think it's been stolen.
I've scored it even. Here's the 8th. Green, gold, blue of Valdemir Pereira, our first sight of him. He has featured on American television in the past, on ESPN, the cable channel over here, the All Sports channel. They're trying to project him. So's Art Palulo, the promoter. Lots of fans here tonight. Good jab from Aiken. Just might be an underrated fighter who hasn't been handled properly so far, Aiken. There's something there to work with. This is amateur record, as you correctly said, Jim, early in the fight. 42 knockouts in the amateurs says something, doesn't it?
46 knockouts. That's a 50% knockout ratio in the amateur boxing these days. Means you can punch. I think he has an excellent jab, but he doesn't practice it. He doesn't try to use it. He's too busy trying to knock Pereira out. If he got behind the jab, Pereira has a defence that needs to be prized open. A jab would help to do that. But Aiken not interested in throwing jabs. That one, give him something to think about there. Caught him a little bit high.
Watch the heads. Let him go. Let him go, Val.
Watch the heads, says referee Charlie Dwyer, who's been a key part of the action so far. Busy night for him.
Whoa!
And there's another one. There's another one now. He's caught it off. He's disqualified Pereira. The fight is over. That was the third one. And Eric Aiken, the mighty mouse, is the IBF World Featherweight Champion in what you have to say are pretty controversial circumstances. Boos from the crowd, who think that they've been robbed of a natural finish to what was a great little fight. But Aiken, from nowhere, is the world champion. I think he was up to a lot of amateur dramatics on the night in there as well, and made an awful lot of it. There were low blows, yes, but this guy, I think, was guilty of exaggerating it. And has he stolen the title?
Ian, he hasn't stolen the title, because if you want to blame someone, you blame the referee. He called the last two low blows before Aiken showed any reaction, so it's not as though Aiken went down on one knee claiming a foul. The referee called the fouls first. I feel so sorry for Pereira. The better man has lost the title tonight, but he's been so careless in the past. He was so careless tonight. I feel rough justice, but I can see how these things can happen. I don't agree with it. Bad news. And you can see the reaction of Pereira here.
Was that last one low? There's another argument. Was it low? Have a look.
I think it was low, but maybe not in the danger area. We will see here. So, yeah, that was low, Ian. That was below the belt. It was low.
Just below the belt, yes.
It wasn't really in the groin area, but it was low, and you're not allowed to punch low. And Ian, he knew the situation. He warned. He'd been docked points. What else can the referee do? The referee should have given him a final warning saying one more and you're out of here. He didn't do that. So a very, very inconclusive ending, and I feel so sorry for Pereira.
He's lost his title. But you're right, Jim. I mean, there was a bit of the Andrew Galottas about that. There were a lot of low blows, but I think, I'll repeat the point, I think Aiken made a meal of it. The last one, yeah, it was below the belt, but he was going to make absolutely the very most. He really should audition for RADA sometime soon, I think, Eric Aiken, as well as taking off the IBF Featherweight Championship. Good luck to him. He's a puncher. Pereira was down twice too.
While we're talking about Aiken, let's not forget what he put into this fight tonight, the clean punches he took, the part he played in a very exciting and entertaining fight. Okay, he's nicked a world title, very, very fortunately, they worked hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official time, 1 minute 37 seconds into round number 8. Referee Charlie Dwyer calls a halt to the bout for official excessive low blows, with a winner by disqualification and new IBF Featherweight World Champion, Eric Mighty Mouse Aiken.
Do a full set over us.
That's what you call an upset. The show's warming up nicely. Thoughts of Colin, Johnny and Nicky on that when we come back? The show's warming up nicely, but the top of the bill may yet upstage that. Valdemir Pereira, has he thrown his title away? Either way, Eric Aiken picks it up. Winner on an 8th round disqualification. And we have a new IBF World Featherweight champion. But did he throw it away, Pereira?
Well, he's not very intelligent, is he? I mean, he's being warned constantly. He's having points deducted constantly for hitting low. Now, whether a couple of them are marginal is beside the point. He knows the referee's on his case. So why keep throwing wild body punches? Keep throwing them to the head. And he was, you know, hurting Aiken to the head. So why go wild and throw these ridiculous low blows?
But, Nicky, what about his whole approach to the job tonight? This was a short notice replacement for Isham Pickering in Eric Aiken. Did Pereira fall into the trap of just assuming he was going to put on the show and had no ability to change his plan?
I think he did, you know, an unbeaten fighter. But we've seen Aiken before when he beat Tim Austin, the former champion. And, you know, he's got that style. He should never be underestimated. He's so dangerous. He's got a good chin. He's wild, you know. And he, although he was being booed and probably didn't box the better of the two, he scored 2 genuine knockdowns. And had he applied himself more, he would have won the fight.
And, Johnny, you know, just judged on the record, there was certainly a suggestion that Aiken was a puncher. Were we all guilty of underestimating him here?
Oh, definitely, yeah. At first I thought, how can a man take shots? But then out of Pereira, I think it was out of pure frustration these low shots were coming. I don't think they were intentional, but he just threw everything and anything.
But the fact he was in so much trouble before they started, you know, did that actually make up his mind that he was going to?
That was it. It was shock. It was shock. This is a late standing. All of a sudden, he's on the wrong side of a bad situation. He's down twice.
This was an extraordinary 5th round. Wasn't
He's
it?
down twice, and the shots that were being thrown were unbelievable. But this kid is spending so much time trying to look good, taking the shots. It's a dangerous thing to do, especially for
as Colin was watching it with me, he said that means he's not really a puncher. When Aiken, you know, knew at this level, Colin, he's dropping his hands and asking him.
Well, you know, I mean, Pereira, if he was a really big puncher, nobody could stop. If you get hit properly on the chin by a hard puncher, I don't care who you are, you'll go on the floor.
Johnny, did Aiken make too much of it?
He got to the point where he was milking it, and he was milking it. There was time that it was borderline, but then again, there was time when Pereira hit him low, and he got away with it. And so the low blows...
we now know that he wasn't getting away with it because it ended up stopping the fight. There were 3 deductions.
And maybe at times the referee didn't say anything, but clocked it. There's the first low blow, and the low blows were low. They were low. They weren't borderline. They were low. A couple of times Aiken did milk it when it was just on the waistline, but as Colin said,
there were so many that were so clearly low that the odd one that strayed near to the border was irrelevant, really.
But again, I don't think it was intentional. I just think it was out of frustration, fear, and shock from being put down in the 4th and 5th round, and then he thought, I've got to get this kid out of here. I can't be cautious. I've just got to do whatever I possibly can.
But I don't think he was actually aiming for the middle wicket. I think, as Colin says, he was just sloppy and inaccurate, you know. He just wasn't looking at where he was throwing the punches.
And as I said, unintelligent. After being warned so many times, having so many points deducted, you must say, I better not do this anymore.
Exactly.
But he kept on doing it.
Yeah. Thank you all. The weigh-in for the big one, the WBA World Featherweight, World Welterweight title.